Activision, Microsoft, and Bungie. You know, at one time, all of these companies were besties. Just a bunch of schoolgirls hanging out, and then something happened. Bungie decided they didn't want to be friends with Microsoft anymore. Decided to become bestie best friends with Activision. Then Activision said that Bungie wasn't good enough for her anymore. And then Microsoft tried to take Bungie back, but Microsoft was being besties with Activision again. And Bungie said, no, you can't be best friends with me and Activision. You have to choose one. Microsoft chose Activision. Today, guys, we're going to talk about the breakup and dive into what is going on behind the scenes, because this has profound effects on gaming for years to come. Like, we're literally going to be talking about this with our grandkids. I'm going to say, back in my day, we actually had individual companies before Microsoft bought everybody. Now, if you haven't heard, the Chinese company NetEase and Activision are splitting ways after 14 years of collaboration. That's a long time, guys. Like, longer than most marriages, man. The official end date to the partnership was January the 23rd, 2023, which is just a few months ago. But this has become a hot topic for all of us because of a recent article published by the New York Times talking about the reason for and the implications of the separation. We also received previously unknown information about Bungie's relationship with NetEase and Activision. Now, from this New York Times article posted on the morning of March the 29th, NYT reported on a monumental split between the Chinese game publisher NetEase and Activision. Now, for those of you that don't know, NetEase is a Chinese technology company focused on e-commerce, communications, and online games. NetEase has been a partner with Activision Blizzard for many years, helping distribute their games to players in China. Now, the CCP has been tightening the grip on video game addiction in China in the last few years. Actually, in 2019, minors were restricted to 90 minutes a day and were banned from playing between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. And in 2021, gaming during weekdays were also banned entirely for minors. And they were also restricted to 1 hour a day on Fridays and weekends. No, you're like, Cross, this is just a restriction for Chinese youths, not adults. Brother, that's harsh. Look, I grew up in a home where I was not allowed to play video games. It was like one of those classic situations of Bobby Boucher, foosball is the devil, or in this case, gaming. Now, partially because of the implementation of increased regulations in China, Activision and NetEase had trouble organizing a new deal leading into 2023. Activision wanted full payments for the publishing agreement up front to avoid risk of Chinese restrictions leading to a loss of sales. Again, China's been walking things back. Before it was just 90 minutes a day, and then no weekdays. Before long, they're just gonna be like, yo, no gaming forever. No lie, there's not many things I would riot over, but that is one of them. Although I will say, rioting in China, that's a risky affair. And I'm not trying to get political, but Chinese tank drivers don't play, dude. Now, no new games were approved for 8 months in 2019 in China. The youth population online also decreased from 122 million to 82.6 million. The gaming market in China lost growth for the first time in years. All right, so we hear you, Cross, but what the hell does this have anything to do with Bungie? And of course, Destiny. Well, it's actually because NetEase has had significant influence on Bungie. Matter of fact, in 2018, NetEase invested $100 million into Bungie, becoming a minority shareholder and gaining a seat on Bungie's board of directors. That's one way to get on the board, right? Now, since then, there have been rumors of a mobile game connected to the Destiny franchise being made in collaboration between the two companies. Now, the new information released in the NYT article regarding Bungie was the negative reaction of Activision CEO Bobby Kotick. And quote, Mr. Kotick was unhappy with the investment because Bungie was behind schedule on developing Destiny content, and he was worried the investment would further distract the company from its Destiny obligations, two other people said. Now, that year, NetEase invested in a game development company founded by a person who had until recently been a senior Activision employee, which also angered Activision, the people said. Mr. Kotick considered ending the partnership, and a 2019 deal between Activision and NetEase included restrictions that prevented NetEase from hiring former Activision employees or investing in gaming studios directed by them. Now, this could be part of the reason why Bungie left Activision. In its announcement, Bungie says its partnership with Activision for Destiny is unaffected by this new partnership, and that it expects to continue to grow that franchise for many years to come, but that its long-term goal is to become an entertainment company that sustains many worlds simultaneously, hence the direction that Bungie is going now. Now, the partnership will help Bungie grow into a global, multi-franchise entertainment studio, according to NetEase CEO William Ding. Now, Bungie was also acquired by Sony in 2022 for $3.6 billion. Keep in mind, guys, the NetEase investment was $100 million, which is still a ton of money, but $3.6 billion completely dwarfs that. Now, if Bungie knew they wanted to expand when NetEase invested in the company, then it's almost a no-brainer to assume Activision was holding them back from investing in future IPs, as Activision wanted them to just keep making Destiny. Matter of fact, Activision wanted Bungie to release a new Destiny game every 2 years. If that deal had gone through, we would literally be having a Destiny 4 by now. And understand, guys, it would be another Call of Duty situation. It's like one after another, and then you're like, what's the difference here, man? And I know some of you probably love the hell out of Call of Duty, and don't get me wrong, I play them from time to time, but let's be real, it's the same stuff being repackaged all the time. And I know some of you are like, Cross, that's the same thing that Destiny does. It would be way worse. Can you imagine Destiny 2 vanilla every 2 years? Dude, my heart can't handle that. I would quit. Now, funny enough, Bobby Kotick was actually on CNBC just a month ago and was talking about Activision, the Microsoft deal, everything else, and not a word was mentioned about NetEase. He talked very highly of like Tencent, ByteDance, but if you stop in this interview and you just look in his eyes, my man straight up looks like the Green Goblin. I'm just saying, look at those eyes. It all makes sense. Now, keep in mind, the reason why Bobby Kotick is talking so highly of Tencent as well as ByteDance is because Activision wants to start publishing their games in China again. And they would, of course, need to go through these companies in order to do so. Now, some context, if you don't know much about Bobby Kotick, a lot of people don't like him, rightfully so. The whole sexual misconduct situation, as well as the terrible work culture that was present at Activision Blizzard, that Bobby essentially turned a blind eye to. Granted, it's because of everything unraveling last year, and with all that bad publicity, is in my opinion, a huge reason why Activision sought to get bought out. Now, many of you are aware of how Microsoft is currently trying to acquire Activision Blizzard, and this has been an all-out war between regulators. You've been seeing it probably all over the news. Sony and Microsoft have been going at it constantly due to monopoly concerns within the gaming industry. Sony has had an exclusivity deal with Activision for the COD games for years, and that deal will end in 2024. And Microsoft has offered Sony a new agreement that would secure equal treatment of both companies in regard to COD releases for the next 10 years. But Sony has not accepted this deal. Now, keep in mind, guys, when we talk about like company sizes, Microsoft is substantially larger than Sony. Like, I know Sony just invested a hell of a lot of money into Bungie, but $3.6 billion to Microsoft is literally nothing. Like, when you look at the market cap side by side of Microsoft and Sony, it literally is David versus Goliath. So no lie, Sony's scared. They don't want to become just another Nintendo. And I'm not saying that Nintendo isn't a successful console, although we should have got a damn new Nintendo by now. I'm gonna play Zelda, but I don't want to play it at 15 frames per second. What the hell, Nintendo? But Sony doesn't want to just be put in a corner with their list of exclusives. They want to thrive. But at the same time, it's hard to thrive against a company that's this large. And no lie, Microsoft has been making all the right moves. And with this Activision acquisition, that is a huge one. Now, no lie, Microsoft deal, it's compelling, especially for gamers. And honestly, a lot of things that Microsoft has been doing over the past 4 or 5 years has been great for gamers. Top to bottom, Game Pass is one of the best deals you can have. And with each and every one of these acquisitions, they are making those games available on Game Pass. But you gotta ask yourself, at what point are you too big? At what point do you own too much? Keep in mind, Microsoft already owns all of these development studios. On top of that, Microsoft bought Bethesda. We talk about how big of a deal it was that Sony bought Bungie, but keep in mind, Bethesda was purchased by Microsoft for $7.5 billion. And then the Activision deal completely blows that out of the water. Do I love Sony for their exclusives? Absolutely. Do I love jamming out on Mario Kart? You're damn right. But you know what I don't like? Is that I can't play that on other platforms. And one beautiful thing that Microsoft allows is the ability to play both on PC and on their console. Good luck playing a Nintendo game at any point on PC unless it's an emulator. And Sony games don't drop until years later on PC. So it's tough as a gamer to take Sony's side when Microsoft has been making so many moves that are pro-gamer. The only problem I have with all of this, really, is the fact that Microsoft, Jesus, they really are getting to a point where they own everything, at least in the gaming sphere. It's scary. And even though Bobby is supposed to be getting the boot as soon as this deal goes through and Activision is acquired, I am concerned that that same mindset that Activision has been carrying for well over the past decade is going to seep its way into all these other development studios that Microsoft has acquired. So guys, let me know in the comments down below. Should Microsoft acquire Activision or should it not touch it with a 10-foot pole? Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.